Hello and welcome back to the third tutorial or walkthrough of my C# game. In this episode we're going to try and get our rectangles moving, so this is what we ended up with last time. And basically now we just want to get them moving up and down and bouncing off the sides. So every time the timer ticks we are going to draw our rectangles. And in the meantime, every time it ticks we should also move our rectangles. So to do this, we just move the rectangle's x and y value. So to move up, we are going to minus or equal to 1. And to move up, which you can actually write just like that. And to move down, we're going to do plus plus. The y value actually increases as you go down the form, which is a little bit confusing, but yeah. So however, what we're also going to need to check for is whether or not they've reached the bottom or the top of the border. I'm going to put these in these actual methods. So if when we're moving down, if it's not at the bottom, we want to keep moving down. So if it hasn't reached the bottom of the border yet, we want to keep moving down. Else, we want to switch everything because it's at the bottom of the border now, so we've got to go up. So we're going to set our down bool to false and up to true, and we're also going to want to call the move up method, so we start moving up, and basically we do the same thing in the move up method, apart from everything is the other way around. So if is at top, if it's not at the top, then we want to keep moving up. Else we want to swap everything, so now down is true, up equals false. Sorry, I just forgot the brackets. And then we want to move down. So that should make sense. I went through that a little bit fast, but so now we actually have to make these methods work. So how are we going to know when it's at the top? Well, the top one's easier than the bottom, because we say if rect.y is equal to 11, then we want to return true because it's reached the top of the boundary. The actual boundary is 10, however I want to put it as 11 so it doesn't overlap the black line, and I'm going to put this as less than or equal to, just in case, because you never know, something could mess up. And then if not, we're going to return false. And for this one, rect.y, okay, now the rectangle boundary is 100 in height, and it starts at 11, which therefore means the end is going to be 110. However, I don't want the thing to overlap, so we're going to put 109. So if it's greater than or equal to 109, then we know that it's reached the bottom. Return true. Else we're going to return false. And I forgot my R there. Okay, so that looks finished to me so far. That's good. That's our class pretty much ready to rock and roll. And now all we need to do is actually get them moving, call these methods. So when the form's painted, we're going to paint that, and we need to find the timer. Okay, the timer. So for each obstacle we have, so for each obstacle ob in obstacle.all, we're going to want to make them move. So if they are going up, we're going to want to call them move up, and if they are going down, else we're going to make them move down. And obviously if they reach the bottom, then inside these methods everything's going to be switched. So this is all we need right now. And yeah, I think that was pretty fast, but I think that's everything ready to go. Let's have a look. Yeah, however, I might want to change the timer so we're not sitting here all day. So let's put this as something like 20. I like 20. So now they should be moving up and down, and they are not bouncing. That is quite worrying. So I made a little mistake there. We can try and find that. That's why. See, you can see it. You notice it's the bottom that touches the y value. So I need to add the height which is, where did I do this? Is at bottom. Yeah, okay, so we also need to add the height to this, plus rect.height. There we go. So now we've done that, it should work nice, and there we go. So we have rectangles moving, juggling about a little bit, and I think we can actually, to make the game a little bit harder, because right now we could just simply like try and slide through here. So I think we're going to pass some random pauses in the rectangles. So sometimes I'll just randomly pause for a little bit. So to do that, I'm going to first make a timer, a private timer, system.timers.timer, pause timer, pause new, system.timers.timer. Let's make them pause for a second, yeah, a second. And then we're also going to want to, when we make the obstacle, we're going to want to make the elapsed event. So pause timer.elapsed plus or equals to, wow, what just happened? I have no idea what just happened. Sorry about that. Okay, pause timer plus equals pause timer elapsed. Here we are. So this is what happens when the pause timer elapsed. So we're going to need a bool as well. Paused equals false. Let's make that public. No reason why not to. I like public. So basically, when this timer goes off for a second, we're going to call this timer to pause the rectangle. So when this timer is called, we're going to make the obstacle pause. So when the second is finished, we're going to make the paused false again. So paused equals false, and we're obviously going to also disable this timer. So pause timer dot enabled equals false. And then in the move up and down, we're going to have to check that it's not paused. So we'll do all of this. If the rectangle isn't paused, then we'll keep moving, and put that here as well. There we go. Okay. Now the final thing we need to do is actually pause it. So we need to actually start this timer somewhere, and that's going to be random. So I'm going to make a public void pause timer. I'm going to pass a random through here, and then we'll say something like random.next 0 300 equals I like 121. It's just a random number. Then we're going to pause the timer. So pause timer dot enable equals true. And why have I got an error here? What have I? Oh, okay. I must have pause timer. No, pause timer. Oh, that's why I've given it the same name. My bad. Pause the timer. There we go. So now when this is called, pause timer equals true. I'm also going to set paused equals to true. So the final thing we need to do to pause our rectangle for a second is to actually call this method. So every time in the form the timer ticks, we're also going to call this method. So private, we don't need that, we'll just put random equals new random, and then here we're going to do ob.pause the timer with ran. Okay, so now hopefully if this all goes to plan, our obstacles are going to randomly pause from time to time separately, which will make things a tiny bit harder to play. So yeah, you can see some of them are actually stopping. Let's make the timer a little bit faster, like 7. So now you can see some of them are pausing, which makes them a little bit harder, the game harder to play. Okay, so we have our rectangles, our obstacles moving. The final thing we need to do is make our character, which might take some time. So that'll be in the next walkthrough. There might be 1 or 2 more. So I hope you're enjoying it, you're understanding it so far. I am going through things fast, but this is more of a walkthrough than a tutorial. So you can create this game with me. So yeah, cheers and see you later.